Have you ever noticed how a woman can look you in the eye and say, "I hate confident guys, I prefer someone humble and simple," and yet the men she cannot stop thinking about are always the ones who walk into a room like they know exactly who they are? Or how she insists, "I don't like games, I just want something stable and clear." But the moment a man becomes too predictable, too available, too easy, she suddenly feels confused, not sure, or not ready for something serious. You are not crazy for noticing that what many women say they want and what they respond to emotionally are not always the same thing. There is a hidden layer beneath their words, and once you understand it, you stop feeling rejected and start understanding attraction for what it really is, a set of emotional triggers, instincts and nervous system responses that most people are not even conscious of. Right now, while you listen to this, I want you to bring to mind that frustration you have felt when you did everything right with a woman. You were respectful, attentive, you texted back quickly, you agreed with her, you complimented her, you tried to make her feel comfortable all the time. And in the end, she told you, "You are a great guy, but I don't feel that spark." It hurts, because you were playing by the rules you thought were correct. You followed what society, movies, even some of her own words told you to do. And still, you ended up in the friend zone, ghosted, or replaced by a man who did none of the right things you did. So the question is not what is wrong with you. The real question is, what are you not seeing about what truly attracts her? That is exactly what we are going to uncover in this video. The things women say they do not like but secretly crave, and how you can embody them in a grounded, ethical, masculine way. First, you need to understand a brutal truth about human beings in general. People describe what they want using logic, but they choose with emotion. A woman will often give a socially acceptable description of her ideal man: kind, respectful, good listener, supportive, not jealous, not too flirty, not too dominant, not too busy, not too intense. That is the public answer, the one that sounds good to her friends, fits social narratives, and makes her feel like a good person. But under that, her nervous system is wired by millions of years of evolution to respond to very different cues: strength, status, certainty, leadership, emotional challenge, a bit of unpredictability, passion, polarity. This is not about manipulation. This is about understanding reality instead of living in a fantasy where everyone acts exactly as they say they do. If you ignore this gap between what she says and what she responds to, you will keep losing to men who understand it on an instinctive level. Let's start with one of the biggest paradoxes. Women say they do not like emotional tension, but they secretly crave it. If you ask most women, they will tell you they want peace, stability, certainty, a man who makes them feel safe. And that is true on one level. No healthy woman wants to live in permanent chaos or emotional abuse. But safety is not the same as boredom. Her attraction is not activated by complete predictability. It is activated by a controlled dose of tension. Emotional tension is that slight uncertainty, that feeling of what is going to happen next. What is he going to say? Does he like me as much as I like him? It is the difference between watching a boring movie where you know every scene in advance and watching one where you genuinely do not know what will happen next, but you trust the director. That is what attraction feels like to her. A storyline where she feels safe with the director, but the plot keeps her engaged. Most guys kill tension instantly. They overshare everything about their life in the first 15 minutes. They confess all their feelings too soon. They respond to every message immediately. They agree with every opinion she expresses. They are afraid of silence, so they fill every pause with nervous talking. They give away the entire movie in the first scene, and then they wonder why she says, "You are nice, but there was no chemistry." Chemistry is tension. Attraction is tension. That does not mean being rude or cold. It means allowing silence. It means not explaining every detail of your life immediately. It means letting her wonder a little. When she asks a question, you can answer in a way that is honest but not exhaustive, and then redirect the focus back to her. When you look at her, you do not look away instantly like you are ashamed of your interest. You hold eye contact a bit longer, with a calm masculine presence, and then you break it on your own terms. This is subtle, but it changes everything. She will never say, "I want a man who makes me feel a delicious tension when he looks at me and is not available 24/7, but her nervous system will. Now let's talk about confidence and arrogance. Women love to say, "I hate arrogant guys. I just like men who are humble." And they mean it when they say it. Because when they think of arrogance, they imagine someone disrespectful, who belittles others, who is full of ego and insecurity disguised as superiority. That version is not attractive long term. It is toxic. But here is the trap. Many men confuse humility with self-erasure. They think being humble means downplaying themselves, never expressing a strong opinion, never saying no, always being agreeable, never taking up space. That is not humility, that is fear. And fear is not attractive. What women secretly crave is a man who is deeply confident, who knows his value and is unapologetic about it, but who does not need to push others down to feel important. This kind of confidence is shown in thousands of small details. When she tests you verbally, instead of over-explaining, defending yourself, or becoming aggressive, you stay calm and grounded. When she asks, "Are you talking to other girls?" you do not panic. You answer honestly but with self-respect, without begging for her approval. When you want something, you say it clearly, instead of hiding it behind weak suggestions. You do not ask for permission to exist in your own life. You have standards for how you want to be treated. You do not chase validation through constant compliments or desperate texting. She may say she wants a man who is not too confident, but what she really cannot resist is a man who does not collapse when she questions him, who does not become a boy in front of her just because he is attracted to her. She wants to feel your solid spine, not your ego, not your insecurity. Another thing women often repeat is, "I do not want a man who has many options or who is desired by many women. I just want someone simple, who is only focused on me." But over and over again, their behavior tells a different story. In social psychology and evolutionary psychology, there is a concept that can be summed up as pre-selection. People are more attracted to someone who is already desired by others. If a man seems invisible to all women, most women will subconsciously wonder, what is wrong with him? But if other women seem naturally comfortable around him, if he has female friends who respect him, if he has a social life, if he is clearly not starving for attention, that sends a powerful signal. He has been filtered by others. He has value. This does not mean you need to become a player or lie to women about your intentions. It means you must stop behaving like a man with zero options. When you act like your entire emotional world depends on one woman's reply, you transmit scarcity and desperation. When you stop your whole life to be instantly available, cancel your plans for her, ignore your hobbies, neglect your purpose, you are telling her you have nothing else going on. She might say she wants to be the center of your universe, but in reality, that feels heavy and unattractive. What she secretly craves is the feeling that she has won the attention of a man who could choose many paths, but chooses her. A man with a life, a mission, a circle of people, who adds her to his already rich reality, instead of making her his only source of meaning. Then we have leadership and dominance. Many women will say, "I do not want a controlling man. I want equality. I do not want anyone to dominate me." And again, at the conscious level, this is valid. Nobody wants to lose their freedom or be in a relationship with an authoritarian person. But on the emotional level, what a lot of women secretly crave is masculine leadership. A man who can take initiative, make decisions, create direction, and hold a strong frame, while still respecting her autonomy. When she says, "I want someone decisive," she is actually saying, "I want a man who can lead without being a tyrant." She is tired of men who always say, "I don't know, what do you want to do?" She is tired of being the one who has to organize everything, plan everything, keep everything together. Masculine leadership is not about shouting, controlling, or imposing your will. It is about clarity and direction. It shows when you invite her out with a clear plan instead of a weak "we should hang out sometime." It shows when you calmly decide on a place, a time, and you handle logistics instead of pushing all responsibility onto her. It shows when you can hold your own vision for your life and your relationship, instead of always adapting to whatever she feels in the moment. A woman might say she does not want to be led, but when she meets a man who can read the situation, take charge, protect, guide, and still listen, she feels something that pure equality with no polarity cannot give her. She feels relaxed. She feels she can soften. She feels she can trust. Now let's look at challenge and disagreement. If you listen to many women talk, they will tell you, "I just want a man who understands me, who accepts me as I am, who does not argue, who does not judge me." That sounds beautiful in theory, but in reality, if you never challenge her, never tease her, never question her, never disagree, she does not feel attraction. She feels dominance over you. There is a psychological principle. We do not respect what we can easily control. When a woman can control your emotions with a single look, when she can provoke you and you instantly change your behavior to avoid upsetting her, when you bend your values just to keep her happy, she might feel powerful momentarily, but she will not feel attracted to you long term. What she secretly craves is a man who can see her, understand her, accept her, and still say, "No, I do not agree," or "No, that does not work for me," without fear. Being challenging does not mean being aggressive or constantly arguing. It means you have a backbone. When she tests you with a provocative comment, you do not explode or retreat. You respond with calm confidence, maybe with a bit of humor. When she says something you truly disagree with, you do not nod like a puppet. You share your point of view, not to dominate her, but to be authentic. When she tries to push your boundaries, you do not reward that behavior. You calmly reinforce your limits. She might say she wants someone who always understands and never pushes back. But what keeps her engaged is the feeling of being with a man she cannot easily manipulate, a man who respects her but also respects himself. Another paradox lies in mystery and availability. Women often say, "I want transparency. I do not like mysterious or distant men. I just want someone who tells me everything." On the surface, that sounds healthy. But what happens when a man truly lays his whole inner world open too fast? When he shares every detail, every insecurity, every thought, and is always there, always texting, always calling, constantly updating her about everything? In the beginning, it may feel flattering. Quickly, it becomes suffocating. Attraction needs some space. Desire needs some distance. Curiosity needs some unknown. She may think she wants total access to you all the time, but what keeps her interest alive is the sense that she has not completely conquered you, that there is still depth to discover in you, that you are not fully predictable. Mystery is not about playing fake games or pretending to be someone you are not. It is about having a life that does not revolve around her, inner layers that are revealed over time, and a sense of direction that is rooted in something deeper than her approval. It is also about leaving conversations at a high point sometimes, not staying until energy dies. It is about not answering every message immediately when you are in the middle of your work, your training, your mission. It is about letting her wonder what you are doing sometimes, not because you want to make her jealous, but because you are genuinely engaged in your life. When you do this, you become a man she wants to explore, not a predictable routine she already fully owns. Let's talk about emotional expression and stoic composure. Many women say, "I want a man who is emotional, who cries, who is vulnerable, who opens up." And it is true that a completely closed man, who never shares anything, who seems like a robot, is hard to connect with. But there is a difference between vulnerability and emotional dumping, between being open and being unstable. Women do not want a man who breaks down at every small challenge, who needs constant reassurance, who makes her his therapist, who cannot regulate his own emotions. That does not feel like safety, it feels like a burden. What she secretly craves is a man who is emotionally self-aware, who can feel deeply, but who stays grounded. A man whose emotions run deep, but whose center is steady. This is where Stoic principles become incredibly powerful. Stoicism is not about suppressing emotions. It is about not being controlled by them. It is about being able to observe your thoughts and feelings without becoming a slave to them. When something triggers you in an interaction with a woman, instead of reacting impulsively, you create space. You notice your jealousy, your insecurity, your anger, and you choose how to respond. You do not send that long emotional message in the heat of the moment. You do not make impulsive accusations. You do not beg. You do not threaten to leave just to manipulate. You stay calm. You communicate clearly. You take time to reflect before you act. Women will say, "I want a man who is sensitive," but what they crave is a man who can remain present when they are emotional, who does not mirror their chaos, who does not run away from their feelings, and who does not drown in them either. There is also the topic of jealousy. Women often say, "I hate jealous men. I want someone who trusts me." And obsessive, controlling jealousy is indeed toxic and destructive. But there is another side. Complete indifference is not attractive either. If she feels that you would not care at all if she disappeared for weeks, if you never show any protective instinct, if you are so chill that nothing matters, she does not feel valued. What she secretly craves is a balanced form of possessiveness, not control, not paranoia, but a clear sense that you care, that you value her, that you will protect what you have if it matters. That might look like calmly stating, "I am not comfortable with this kind of behavior in a relationship," instead of staying silent. It might look like walking away from situations that violate your standards, not because you want to control her, but because you respect yourself. She will never admit she wants a man who feels a healthy sense of "this woman is important to me." But if you act like she is completely replaceable and nothing she does matters, she will not feel special. Another thing women say they do not like is sexual energy that is too strong, or men who are too sexual. They say, "I want someone romantic, not just a man who thinks with his body." And again, what they reject is crude, disrespectful behavior, objectification, entitlement. That is not attractive, it is repulsive. But at the same time, a man who suppresses his entire sexual nature, who acts like a neutral friend, who never initiates, never touches, never looks at her with desire, does not create attraction either. She may describe him as sweet or cute, but she does not feel magnetized by him. What she secretly craves is a man whose desire is clear but controlled. A man who is unashamed of being masculine, who finds her attractive and lets it be felt in his energy, not in vulgar words or desperate moves. Healthy sexual polarity is about presence and calibration. It is the way you look at her when she speaks, with focus, not with a scattered gaze. It is how you reduce the distance physically at the right moment, paying attention to her signals, her comfort level, her body language. It is how you slowly escalate touch in a consensual, respectful way, instead of jumping from 0 to 100. It is how you read her reactions, her tension, her breathing, and adjust. She will say she wants a romantic man who does not push, but when she meets a man who can hold eye contact with a hint of desire, who is not ashamed of being attracted to her, who does not treat her like a fragile goddess or like an object, she feels something deeply compelling. Now, how do you use all this in your favor without becoming a manipulative caricature? The answer is inner alignment. If you try to fake these traits from a place of insecurity, it will feel off, and women will sense it. If you pretend to have options when you do not, if you pretend to be confident while you are internally begging for approval, your behavior will be inconsistent. So you need to build these qualities from the inside out. That starts with taking full responsibility for your life. You stop blaming women, society, or luck. You ask yourself, where am I acting like the nice guy who wants to be chosen instead of the man who chooses? You look at your habits, your body language, your social life, your purpose, your level of discipline. Start by reclaiming your time and attention. Attraction begins with the way you live when nobody is watching. If your life is empty, you will inevitably become obsessed with any woman who shows you attention. Fill your life with things that challenge you and grow you. Train your body, build your skills, pursue goals that matter. When you have something bigger than a woman to live for, you stop needing her to fill every emotional gap. That is when you start to naturally embody mystery, because you are not always available. You naturally radiate confidence, because you are doing hard things regularly. You naturally become more stoic, because you face discomfort by choice. Next, bring awareness to the way you communicate. Notice how much you overshare, how quickly you confess feelings, how desperate you sound when you text. Begin to slow down. Let her ask questions about you, instead of vomiting your entire biography. When you respond, be concise, grounded, and leave space for curiosity. Instead of writing long paragraphs trying to convince her how amazing you are, let your actions and your presence communicate that. Replace needy questions like, "Do you still like me?" with confident statements like, "I enjoy spending time with you, let's do this again." Stop asking for constant reassurance. Every time you want to express insecurity to her, ask yourself first, is this something I need to work on myself instead of dumping on her? Pay attention to your body language and voice. You do not need to be a model to be attractive, but you do need to carry yourself like a man who respects himself. Stand with your shoulders open, not collapsed. Walk with intention, not like you are apologizing for taking up space. When you speak, slow down. Many men talk too fast when they are nervous. That kills their presence. Lower your voice slightly, not in a forced way, but by relaxing your throat and breathing from your diaphragm. Look at her eyes when you talk, and when she talks, but allow yourself to break eye contact slowly and confidently, not abruptly or nervously. These small cues communicate that you are centered in yourself, not seeking permission to exist. Now let's connect everything. Women say they do not like arrogance, but they crave grounded confidence. They say they do not like emotional games, but they crave a level of tension that keeps the interaction alive. They say they do not like men with many options, but they crave a man who is desired and who chooses them. They say they do not like dominance, but they crave masculine leadership. They say they do not like mystery, but they crave a man whose life does not revolve around them. They say they want extreme vulnerability, but they crave emotional strength with selective openness. They say they hate jealousy, but they crave to feel uniquely valued. They say they want romance without too much sexual energy, but they crave healthy masculine desire. All of these contradictions make sense when you understand that human beings do not always have access to the true reasons behind their own attraction. Your goal is not to expose women, judge them, or become bitter. Your goal is to stop believing in the literal script and start observing the deeper pattern. When a woman says, "I just want a nice guy," do not translate that as, "I must remove all my edge, my strength, my standards." Translate it correctly. She wants a man who is kind without being weak, generous without being a doormat, emotionally open without being unstable. She wants a man who can make her feel safe, but also excited. And yes, a big part of that excitement comes from the very things she might deny on the surface: your ability to lead, to say no, to disagree, to walk away if necessary, to stay calm when she storms, to remain your own man. From now on, instead of asking, why do women say one thing and do another, ask yourself, what behavior are they actually rewarding? Observe. When she loses interest, was it when you became more respectful, or when you became more available, more predictable, more needy? When she became obsessed with a man, was he the one who sent her good morning texts for months without escalation? Or the one who was clear about his intentions, who had a life, who did not chase her, who maintained his standards? Look at reality, not at words. But then, and this is crucial, use that awareness in a mature way. Do not use it to exploit insecurity. Use it to become a higher quality man who naturally triggers genuine attraction in healthy women. There will always be people who misunderstand what we are talking about and think this is about manipulation. It is not. Manipulation is when you fake qualities you do not have, make promises you do not intend to keep, or use psychological tricks to harm others for your benefit. What we are talking about is alignment, living in a way that naturally expresses traits women are evolutionarily wired to respond to, while staying honest, respectful, and self-aware. You are not lying about your options. You are genuinely building a life where you are not desperate. You are not pretending to be confident. You are doing the work necessary to respect yourself. You are not playing random games. You are simply refusing to over-explain, overshare, and over-pursue, which protects your value and maintains tension. So what can you start doing immediately after this video ends? First, audit your current behavior with women. Where are you over-investing too early? Where are you saying yes when you want to say no? Where are you giving away all your cards in the first conversations instead of allowing mystery to build naturally? Where are you seeking validation instead of expressing desire? Be brutally honest. The most powerful shift you can make is internal, shifting from "I hope she likes me" to "I know I am a valuable man, and I am going to show up as such. If we connect, great. If we do not, I will be fine." Second, practice staying grounded when you are tested. You will be tested. She will say something provocative. She will pull away a little. She will be late. She will flirt with your frame to see if you collapse. In those moments, do not act from fear. Breathe. Slow down. Remember your standards. Sometimes the most attractive response is not a clever line. It is your calm refusal to abandon yourself. You do not need to win every argument. You need to remain centered. You do not need to convince her you are a good man. You need to act like one consistently. Her subconscious mind is watching your reactions more than listening to your speeches. Third, cultivate that blend of softness and steel. Softness means empathy, presence, ability to listen, ability to read her emotions. Steel means boundaries, direction, discipline, standards. Too much softness without steel turns you into the nice guy she uses for comfort, but never chooses. Too much steel without softness turns you into the emotionally unavailable man who may attract women initially, but cannot sustain a healthy bond. The combination of both is what women rarely find and secretly crave. A man who can hold them when they are vulnerable, but who will not tolerate disrespect. A man who can be gentle but not weak, romantic but not needy, protective but not controlling. If you integrate what you have just heard, you will no longer be confused by the contradictions between women's words and behavior. You will not feel betrayed by phrases like, "I am not ready for anything serious," when she suddenly becomes serious with someone else. You will see the underlying pattern. She did not feel that emotional cocktail of safety and tension with you, so her interest faded. Instead of taking it personally, you will recognize it as feedback. You will adjust how you show up. You will stop offering stability without edge, kindness without strength, availability without mystery. And the moment you shift, your results will shift, because you will stop trying to convince women with logic and start speaking to their deeper emotional language through your presence, your habits, your frame. What they say they do not like and what they secretly crave will never perfectly align. That is how human beings are. You can complain about it or you can decode it. The man who complains stays stuck in resentment. The man who decodes becomes unforgettable. From this point on, your job is not to be perfect. It is to become more aware, more grounded, more intentional. Every interaction is a chance to practice, to hold eye contact a little longer, to say no when you mean no, to end a conversation at a high point instead of dragging it, to maintain your focus on your mission even when you are excited about a woman, to lead with calm certainty instead of asking for permission. Do this, and you will become the man women say they do not want to be addicted to, but cannot stop thinking about.